this out. If I spin my distributor on my oil pump, see that? That's really frustrating, because this engine is a pain in the you-know-what to get in and out. I really don't want to pull this motor again, but I'm gonna have to. What's up, guys? We are back on the 1985 Formula 302 SR1, and unfortunately this port motor that was rebuilt has to come back out of the boat because it's got some sort of oil blockage, and there's no way for me to get to this side of the motor where the oil filter goes, and there's possibly a pressure relief valve stuck with the way it sits in the boat. So such is life with these speed boats. This engine's got to come back up out of the boat. Oh, and just as a reminder, this is my 1985 Formula 302 SR1 that I found sitting in a garage in Connecticut. It hasn't moved in 20 years. It's out of that garage now. It's in my shop. We pulled both of the PCM marine engines, 7.4 liter big blocks, out of it, removed all the PCM gear. We threw Mercruiser Magnum MPI fuel injection and intakes on top of both the engines, put all the Mercruiser accessory drives, brand new manifolds and risers, and obviously all new water pump impellers, housings, the full nine, and then mated those up to their original transmissions, so they are velvet drive transmissions, TRS counter-rotating stern drives. So I've got an 85 boat that is officially 41 years old this year with 20-year-old 26-year-old engines in the boat itself. So we are running fuel injection in this boat, kind of an experiment. We got peanut port heads with Vortec or 088 head intake runners. So we'll see how that all pans out once this thing actually runs. But I was super fired up to just know that these things fit in the boat and started. I wasn't planning on pulling them back out, but because of this oil pressure issue, I made a really big mess down in the bilge because I blew out my seal on my oil filter twice now. So I have oil coming out of the oil pump up through the filter housing. All of my remote oil filter hoses are clear because I tested them by running air through them. And then when it goes back into the inlet from the oil filter, we got nothing. It's just blocked air. It's a deadhead's air. Nothing's going through there, which tells me there's no oil being circulated through the block or any of the components, which is good. We ran that motor for maybe a split second, and everything seems okay because it had plenty of assembly lube on all the components. But anyway, that is where we're at currently with this project. It is the middle of winter. It's middle of January. It's freezing cold outside. We're supposed to get 2 feet of snow this weekend. The water is off, so I can't clean anything. This thing's an absolute mess. But my goal is before the end of this month, pretty much have this boat buttoned up, seal it up, and wait for it to get a bath and move on to the next project. So getting this motor out is going to be crucial. We're going to learn a little bit while it's out on the ground about that oil issue, the blockage issue, and with that motor out, it's going to open up some space here in the engine bay to, 1, collect a light that I dropped the other day, 2, find a GoPro battery that I also dropped the other day, 3, find a nut down there that I also dropped, and 4, clean up all the oil that I let leave the engine, which was all brand new Mercruiser oil, which is not cheap. Anyway, look at me being optimistic. All right, so I have positioned myself already. We've got the removable seat here in front of me, out of the way. I've got my engine hatch propped back up and open, and then I've got my 140,000 BTU shop heater cranking, so we have some heat. And at this level, it's actually fairly comfortable. You can see around me. I mean, up here it's probably 50-something degrees. I'll take it. But anyway, if you haven't watched it already of us putting the motors in the boat and then first test fire, both engines fired right up. I did, however, have a little bit of hydraulic roller knock on the starboard engine, just due to not building up oil pressure. So I actually pulled that distributor, spun it with a tool and drill to build oil pressure in there, and I did that for about like 20 minutes. And then was even able to get some bore scope footage of the camshaft oil coming out of the hydraulic rollers, and then eventually up to the rocker arms themselves through the push rods too. So we've got that engine sufficiently primed. I'm gonna do the port engine when it's out on the ground this time, and I may even try to fire up the port engine while it's out of the boat too. We'll see, because there's a few tricky things there with fuel injection, initializing that fuel pump, and then kicking the starter over. It's not just like a carbureted engine that you can start with the engine stand easily. But anyway, to get to the oil components that we need to get to fix that blockage issue on the port motor, let's get this thing out of here, throw it on time lapse. I've got a shifter cable, a throttle cable, a positive starter cable, a ground cable, a harness connector, a couple fuel lines, and 4 engine mounts. That's it. This thing should plug right out of here. Let's do it. So here we're doing what we should have done the first go around, which is pulling the distributors, which I've had off several times, and getting them properly primed, or using a special tool here. I'm actually going to use a very long screwdriver, flathead, attached to a drill, stick that down, engage it with the oil pump, and then spin it over at high speed and get everything lubricated. Distributors out. Now we get our big long drill attachment here. Let's see here. Okay, we're doing good things here. So, I've got my drill inserted into my oil pump, and then I've got a bore scope camera here. I actually was just looking at the hydraulic cam lobes where they connect, or where they touch the camshaft down the middle through here, and was able to confirm while spinning over the drill that oil was pumping up in those hydraulic rollers, which is great. So now this can take anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes to get oil all the way up to the rocker arms here. So I got the camera on this guy, and I want to see oil coming out of there to the end of that push rod, so we know that those are getting oiled. Got a little heater down below. It is cold, so this is probably going to take a bit, but now we can just sit here and let it eat for a while. Let me turn the old chop heater off real quick. That thing is a animal, game changer. But here you are. So you guys saw it come out of the boat. First thing I did, I left it hoisted up here, and I went back to the original oil pan plug. This is the PCM oil pan, which is just a standard GM oil pan, but it had this nice plug here with a remote oil hose where you can pump out of this hose when you drain the oil. So I went back to that and my stock dipstick because when I had the old Mercruiser ones back here, they were right underneath my exhaust outlet, which was a pain in the ass to get to. So I relocated that, got it back up here. I got to secure it somehow. I'll probably attach it to this hose or find a little bracket I can kick it off of. But that was the first thing I did. Drained all the oil, put my stock dipstick back in there, which I'll probably do for the other motor as well. But now we can get to the nitty-gritty of our problem here. So like I was saying, my oil cooler and remote oil filter reservoir connection, or line connection, is all good. It's free flowing. The issue has got to be somewhere here where the oil goes into the block. So I can blow air through this hose and it just deadheads right here at this fitting. So I'm going to pull this fitting off, unscrew this big nut that holds this adapter cap on here, and see what's going on. See if it's the orientation of this relocation fitting, or if there's something in there blocking it. So let's pop this off real quick, see what's going on. Nothing too obvious or exciting right off the bat. I mean, that all is fine. That has nothing blocking it. It's lots of oil. It's very oily. But, I mean, even looking here, I don't see anything right away that looks concerning. I mean, there's black paint there. We got our pressure relief valve here, and then that's where our filter would screw on. Our return plugs there. Yeah, I'm not sure what the deal is. I'm gonna grab, and this hose here is all clear. So from the cooler down, this hose is free. So it's somewhere in here that there's a blockage. I'm gonna take the air compressor here and push some forced air through there to see if for some reason it's cleared or if we still have an issue. Well, I just took my screwdriver here and stuck it up the hole, and sure enough, triggered the spring valve, regulator, whatever you want to call it. Where was it? So as soon as I push that spring, yep, right there, starts pouring oil out. So we're gonna find out. I don't know if that plunger was stuck from setting for 19 years or what, but you can see there's oil coming out. Well, both the plungers, or relief valves, whatever you want to call them, are freed up now, and you'll see this one will actually take air, blow it out. The main one here, this one here though, it still won't take any air. So I'm actually gonna pop it out real quick. I got a little fitting here, 1/2 inch hex, and see what's going on. We may have to replace this bypass valve, relief valve, whatever you want to call it. Well, that came out easy. No valve there. You guys see? That's our valve we're dealing with, and that's what's keeping oil from flowing. So I don't know, internet, What do you think? Should I just remove that check valve out of there? I'm gonna do a little research and see what it suggests, but when I pop it, it goes. It definitely goes. I don't know. I'm gonna see what the repercussions are of removing that. Okay, so because I have the remote oil adapter and cooler on here, the internet says leave that pressure relief valve. So it is a stronger spring in it to ensure that oil goes through the adapter up to the remote oil filter and then back through the block to ensure that oil is getting filtered. If I were to remove it, oil would just constantly bypass that big, you know, I guess, loop that the oil doesn't want to necessarily flow through, and the block would get unfiltered oil. So there you go. Learn a little something. So I've made sure that's freed up. I've cleaned it a bunch. I'm gonna put my remote adapter back on and pull my distributor here, get my fancy tool, and spin this motor and build oil pressure and see what happens. See if we keep getting it to blow out because that valve isn't opening, or if it's actually gonna circulate and produce oil pressure. Let's find out. All right, my GoPro died, but here you go. I got the distributor out. Our remote connection and hoses are all back on. I got a temporary oil pressure gauge where my oil pressure sender would normally go. And everything's buttoned up here, and she's topped off on oil. But check this out. If I spin my distributor on my oil pump, see that? Sorry, I skipped. Here we go, healthy oil pressure. And I'm not blowing out any seals. So, I'd say that's a win, 100%. We have oil pressure, we have no leaks. Now I feel a lot more comfortable putting this thing back in the boat, but before we do that, I got a lot of cleaning I need to do inside here. All right, we're ready. It took me about 30-45 minutes to get it all the way out. Let's see if I can get this thing in 30 minutes. I won't have it fully hooked up because I do want to test fire it with it plugged in and the battery hooked up, and just see if it will blow oil out or not, and if I have to pull it right back out. But let's see, 30 minutes, let's find out. All right, timer is rolling, 20 minutes. The motor's in, none of the mounts are hooked up. I still got the chain hoist attached. And let's see, we did, let me get in here. Hang on, I've gone up and down like a million times. Ground wire, positive, battery starter hookup, orange wire, wiring harness connector, and we did fuel. We hooked up our fuel down there. So, That's it. We have oil in here. We're gonna put this rag below the filter to make sure we catch, to see if there's any blowout. Get our chain out of the way. None of our pulleys are hooked up to a belt. Let's give it a go. What do you think? Will it fire up? Will it blow oil everywhere? This thing is like halfway into the boat. Oh. Okay, here we go. Put you guys in a front row seat here. Front row seat. Ready? Oh, wrong motor. It blew out the seal immediately, like right away. I just watched it explode. Wow. Oh! Fired right up. Look, I just watched it burp all out of there. Why? Why did you do that? Immediately blew the seal out. As soon as it fired up. Why? I don't know. I don't know. The relief valves were fine. That's really frustrating, because this engine is a pain in the you-know-what to get in and out of this engine room. It is not graceful at all whatsoever. We nicked that spot, and we nicked that spot each and every time. Should probably throw a blanket down, but it wouldn't help with the nicks. Dang, instantly. But with the drill at 90 pounds oil pressure, it was fine. What the heck? I really don't want to pull this motor again, but I'm gonna have to. That sucks. That really sucks. I mean, at least we installed a motor in less than 20 minutes, kind of. Now my wife's calling me. She's gonna ask why I sound upset. And she's gonna think this is silly. Okay, well, this is gonna continue on another day, because I'm not gonna do this today because I'm frustrated. But the internet has spoken. Unfortunately, I put this out there in the comments, and I was kind of swayed in the wrong direction, so that's my fault. But somebody said clearly it's not the oil pump's fault because you have oil pressure, but there is a bypass valve on the oil pump that allegedly, if it gets stuck, will cause this problem. So because it's not my oil filter valves, pressure relief valves and all that, since we checked those, there's a bypass valve on the oil pump that is probably physically stuck. So the motor has to come out I'm gonna have to drain the oil again, drop the oil pan, and pull my oil pump off. I have 2 other ones. I may just go ahead and buy a new one. I have 2 good ones though, off other motors, and replace that. Round 2 of pulling this motor out of the formula. What would I do differently this time? Well, the motor definitely likes to be flat coming in and out, so no angle of the dangle. And once it gets up 6 inches, swing it at an angle so you can get that exhaust manifold out of the front without garring this edge up too much. And then lift it up some more so your front pulleys clear this piece right here, and then you can kind of shake it around and it'll become free at some point. But okay, round 2, we shall check thy oil pump.